There we go.
Hello.
Hey,
hello.
is that Steve?
This is me.
Yes, sir. We are all set. We're rolling already. Everybody happy over there?
We're happy if you are.
I'm very. Hey, we're talking with Steve Perry. Hey, Steve, we've had a chance to preview this record, Traces. My God, it's great. And talk about.
Oh, thank you so much.
Talk about worth the wait, but at the same time, as you said, it comes out of a lot of pain.
Well, the songs on the record have a lot of joy and they have a lot of stories to them, like the cover. The cover has a lot of stories in it. And so it isn't just about loss, but there is a lot of emotional connection, I think, in the vocals, no matter what he's talking about. Oh, by the way, I talk about myself third person because when I produce the record, it's so much easier to talk third person.
Yeah, the record is really great. I guess the most obvious question, are you going to tour with this?
You know, we're talking about that. I mean, right now we're really doing a lot of radio and a lot of television and a lot of internet stuff. And so we've had our hands pretty full with all this. And when we get back probably around 2-3 weeks from now, we'll probably start discussing that.
Yeah, I want to mention something kind of odd maybe, but sadly, just a few days ago, Marty Ballin from the Jefferson Airplane passed away, and to me, you are the great inheritor of that status. I always thought Steve Perry was the guy that was this amazing crooner that came up in the rock era, and I always thought Marty was this guy that 15 years earlier would have been in front of a big horn band, and that was sort of an odd combination. And similarly, I always have felt you as the great crooner of that rock era when you were with Journey.
Wow, you just kind of floored me because I've been traveling so much and doing so many interviews that I've been sort of disconnected. I did not know that he had passed.
Yeah, just over the weekend.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites. That whole scene up there in San Francisco had some great voices up there. I mean, Janis Joplin, Marty, there's so many great ones. Grace Slick. These are some singers. And, wow, that's rough.
Yeah, but I mean, to belabor the obvious, obviously you are a singer, but you don't that sense of Marty would be up there in front of the airplane and it was this great guy and this sort of, wow, what's that rock band doing up there with him? And this album, after listening to the preview cuts on Traces, I got that same feeling. It's almost like a crooner.
Wow, that's interesting. A crooner. I don't know.
I mean that in the nicest way. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's crooners like you're talking like Sinatra was a crooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's sweet because those guys, I think, had a voice that you believed in, and nothing would make a singer happier than to be thought of as somebody that, they can believe what he's saying when he's singing it. I mean, that's, I think, what everybody reaches for is to have a vocal performance of believability, and you're saying something that you should have emotion attached to it,
Yeah, and the cover you mentioned, of course, now we live in a world of downloads, et cetera, but the cover will be available to see on the internet.
It's stunning artwork.
Because it's very elaborate. I know that you helped the artist with sort of conceptually with what the drawings were.
Well, actually, that cover is a poster on the Walmart version. If you go to Walmart, we actually put a poster in the vinyl in the Walmart of the entire cover. So, I mean, not only is it on the record itself, there's actually a poster in there. Because I love that artwork as much as people have been telling me they love it. It's about the memories and the traces of those memories. And on that cover is almost my entire life, from my drum set to, if you look to the right on the right cover, you see me standing there dressed in my red tails, staring back at the theater where my dad used to sing. And on the marquee it says, appearing Ray Perry's son. That's me.
Oh, man.
But that's where he used to sing. And and if you look to the right of that, there's a little sort of Spanish adobe house, which is the house I was raised in. And if you look closely in the window, there's a little boy looking out that window trying to get out of there. And so there's a lot of stuff that character in that red coat is looking back at, and which is what I had to do when I left the group.
Yeah, we're talking with Steve Perry, very well known, of course, for his work with Journey. Speaking of Journey, real quick question. When a song of yours is used, say, at the end of The Sopranos, do they have to call you and ask? What is the legal protocol?
Oh yeah. That's sub-licensing, it's called. You can't use something like that without getting a licensing for it, and so that took time. I know David Chase, I found out later, had written that in sequence using the song as input, but we didn't know it at the time. But all I knew is that I was kind of one of the only ones that held out and didn't say yes. John and Neil, that I wrote it with, said yes, and I held out. The reason was that I wanted to make sure that the entire Soprano family wasn't being whacked when that song is being played.
Yeah.
Now, Scorsese would do that, And so I thought David Chase is going to go full Scorsese and whack somebody, So I wanted an answer, and they wouldn't tell me. And so I held out till Thursday about 4:30. My girl who does my sub-licensing says, okay, I got a hold of David Chase's people. They said, if you promise not to tell, we'll tell you how it ends, and then you can say yes or no. I said, okay, I won't tell.
Oh, that's
They told me, I said, okay, use it. But they didn't tell me it was going to go to black.
Oh.
Wow. We're speaking with Steve Perry. Steve, let's get back to the new album. It's called Traces, and this is just so great after all these years. Let me ask you this. I know it's a very serious matter for you, but did you have any fun making the record? Were there moments where you had a blast?
I did. Even though it was an emotional thing, I had moments in the studio, sort of, I would call them rediscovery moments emotionally, where there was times I was facing the demons and my own self-criticisms that I don't think that's good enough, and what am I doing this for, to be perfectly honest with you. And at the same time, I would have moments where I'd sing a phrase, or Vinny Caluto would come in and lay a drum part, and I'm sitting in the control room of my studio in my house, and I turned to my engineer, Tom Flowers. I said, Tom, look at my arm. I had goosebumps running up and down my arm because the pocket, the feel coming off those drums was so wonderful. I said to Tom, I can't get this goosebump stuff anywhere except with music. It just was coming back to me. It was resonating with my DNA again. And to me, that was magic. It was life-sustaining, really, to be honest.
Wow. We're speaking with Steve Perry. I know you have a limited time, Steve, so I guess one last question. When you're warming up in the studio, do you have a go-to song, maybe not one of yours? Do you sing a Beatles song or a song that your dad would have sung? Do you have something you just do to get your mind clear?
Oh, man. I actually don't. What I do is I just start singing the song that I'm working on, because though I'm not warmed up, maybe some of the more demanding moments of a song may not be warmed up for, but some of the verses, because I'm just sort of like just warming up and just don't think too much about it, there can be magical moments that I say something vocally that feels the best it's ever gonna feel, so I don't want to redo that. So then later on, after I'm warmed up, I'll go say the choruses later, I mean, singing the song is warming up for me.
Wow. Well, Steve, I just want to say on behalf of lots of fans, welcome back. Wow.
Thank you. Listen, by the way, I know you're on over 100 stations, and I so thank you so much for having me on your show. And I just want to give a shout out to 95.7, The Fox in Fresno, because I originally was from the Fresno area, and everybody in Fresno has just been a big part of my life. And the San Joaquin Valley is where all this music really emotionally comes from.
Oh, that's great. Well, Steve Perry, again, thanks. It's such a great record, and I want people to go get it in the poster. And it's all coming out. It's Mr. Steve Perry, and you're going to recognize that voice. And I honestly, it's more soulful than ever. So I guess aging has done a service to you.
Well, it certainly got spice. I'll tell you that.
Well, thanks for getting old. And
thanks.
And thanks for coming back. It's a great record. Thank you so much.